Hello everyone.
Hello.
Today we are having, as advertised a few weeks ago, a review about gouache paints.
Yes, so we have two different types of wash paint here. We got this one, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name.
Kreul.
Kreul. Okay, so Kreul, which we bought at Müller. How much was it again?
About €10, I think $9.99 or something like that.
Alright, so averagely priced. This is only 12 colours. And I just want to talk about it briefly because you can see we've used these, okay? I just want to point out that while they have orange all over their packaging as their colour, they actually don't include orange.
That's weird.
Which is actually pretty annoying because I needed orange. This one kind of dried in the tube, but, well, actually the tube just deformed, didn't it?
What is... I've never looked at these so closely. Is the little ticket coming off?
Yes. In fact, if this fell off, you wouldn't know what's colours in this tube because it's not printed on the tube at all. It's just on this little...
That's interesting. I always thought this was printed on. I've never looked at those so closely.
No, these have to stay on, else you might not know what colour it is. So yeah, we got these and the pretty much highly acclaimed Arteza gouache paints, premium. They are packaged like so.
Very nicely packaged, I must say.
Yes. I'm pretty excited to try these. I hear so many good things about it. So interestingly, we don't have the information about light fastness on these. They don't state anything about light fastness. I'm going to take this one out here and I'm going to take out this one here. So you can see we have these three little pluses and that is for light fastness if I remember correctly.
I think so, yes. And then there's a little square next to it, which you can see is one time completely white and the other time it has like a little diagonal line through it, so only half white. That is actually the transparency of the color when you put it down on paper.
Yes. So out of all the 24 colors here, only one of them doesn't have the full light fastness grade, and it is this one here. This one only has 2 pluses.
Which is pink, which seems to be a theme with paints, pencils, etc. in general.
Yeah, with light fastness. So, pricing.
About €23, I think.
Yeah, this was about €23 for 24 paints, so it's approximately almost €1 per paint.
Which is, in my opinion, a very good value. If these were less, you'd probably even go cheaper, but it's very nice to have all these different colors, because you see, there's like actually a lot to choose from. You do not have to bother so much with mixing them up. Then you have the problem that you will never get the same tone of the color again that you want. Here, you can basically pick the color that is what you like. Maybe change it like a little bit more with white so that you can make it like a little bit more opaque or whatever. And then you can just go at it.
So, for our painting examples.
Yes, I am going to try a little thing because at the same time I'm reaching over. When we bought these paints from Amazon, I thought why not? I also bought the matching watercolor paper book by Arteza, which so far I have not drawn in it yet. Seems really nice. I mean, this is, at least on first look, very good quality. The paper is really sturdy. I mean, look, this is... What is this? How many grams does it have? Can you see?
It's 300 grams.
300 grams. This is basically, I think there's paper with 320, but this is basically like the most sturdy quality that you can get.
Yes, and what I like is that both sides are more or less equal as well as in press. Because sometimes you get it where the one side is very rough and the other side is like abnormally like smooth. So it is really nice paper and, well, he's going to be trying it out. I'm going to try it in a different project.
Yes, I'm also going to try out these. I have never really done much with gouache paints before. I tried these out briefly when we got them, but those was really just like easy thumbnailing. I've never really used them in a full picture. I've painted acrylic paint pictures in the past on canvas, but these are supposed to handle like a little different, so I'm really curious to it.
So while he uses the Arteza paper for his experiments, I'm going to be using this mixed media paper by Clairefontaine. This is 250 gram paper. I have done other things in here which I'm not going to show right now. The paper in here is actually really good. It's nice and smooth and thick. And I'm going to do another example in the art journal we got from Action a few months ago.
So yeah, we shall try that, and when we are done, we shall get back to you, show you something, and tell you about our experiences.
Yes, so off we go.
At first I put down some colors to try blend them just to get a feel for the medium. As you may know from previous videos, I'm not really that experienced with traditional media, and so it's always a huge leap of faith for me to start something because it does not always end well. I settled for something simple and vibrant in the broadest sense, inspired by all the TV shows with Bob Ross I watched in the past few years. Not expecting too much of it, but to my surprise it worked out. It is really fun to directly blend colors on paper, which I used for the gradient in the background sky here. Layering these paints works like a charm. I had to be a bit careful with the amount of water I used when layering over another color, because it would have led to it being mixed in. And there we go, one happy little tree.
I filmed my process a little differently. Instead of time-lapsing the entire painting process, I just filmed snippets. I decided to paint a deer. I started off using the Kreul Gouache paints. I did find that there was some difficulty getting the colours mixed the way I would expect them to. They are kind of smooth to apply, but at the same time certain colours feel sticky, like you're trying to paint with craft glue. Adding some water does improve this just a little. Overall the outcome is okay, but it does bring some problems which I'll talk about more in depth after the time lapse. Next I did another painting of a deer with the Arteza gouache paints, and they were an absolute delight to paint with. Buttery smooth in comparison to the Kreul paints. I did my best to limit the colours I was using so I could try my best to match with a pack of 12 Kreul paints. Mixing colours felt a bit easier, and none of the colours felt like I was painting with glue. Overall, I had an amazing experience painting this deer with Arteza paints. I purposely did dark backgrounds to make the lighter colours pop more. I am by no means a professional when it comes to painting with gouache paints, I'm still a beginner.
Hello again. A weekend later, we've been spending with these paints. We came out with some stuff that we can show, even though I'm not perfectly comfortable to show this off, but I think also failures should be shown to make a point. You can see I was trying around with these first. I wanted to make a comparison picture. I wanted to go here in the middle. I wanted to make like a little skyline with little windows and like a nice purplish red background, and at this point you can already see what didn't work for me. The color I mixed came out as a weird brown. This may be down to my inexperience with these paints. I'm not totally sure how to mix them correctly. Ultimately, it frustrated me a bit, so I actually had to take a step back. And this was my next attempt. This is not anything in particular. You can see I was just playing around with the paints. I decided to leave these out because they became like a little bit unpredictable for me. This one wants to escape us. And I just concentrated on the Arteza ones. Tried to blend them a little bit, which is the big advantage of gouache colors towards acrylics. You can always go in with a bit of water and blend them. It can be a disadvantage if you want to do a lot of layers and you use a lot of water. Obviously, you also agitate the layer that is underneath what you are painting and everything gets a little messy. But this is the big advantage. You can do these things. So I was just playing around a bit. And now for the reveal of my end result. It's this. I decided to go very simple. I was like a happy little tree. We all like happy little trees. With some nice colors in the background. This is not meant to be realistic or like a masterpiece in any way. I was just basically trying to have fun with these. And I really had fun with these actually. The color blended really nicely this time. I did not bother with mixing them. I just used them straight out of the tube. I think it was this one I used. It was this one I used. And you can see I got this nice gradient going on. I was able to paint this tree over this background. No problems. Those are really, really opaque colors when you are working with them like this. And yeah, I really had a good time and I'm looking forward to do more things with it and try more things with it. That's my experience.
So for me, okay, my art journal looks different now because I decided to paint with acrylic paint on it. This is not gouache.
This looks amazing, by the way.
I used a little bit of those acrylic markers that we showed off a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And I did something in here. So I'm going to go with the art journal first here. Because this...
Let me take these aside so you do not have to balance over everything.
Okay, so the first thing I did in here was a few weeks ago. This was before we got the Arteza paints and it's done entirely with this. I noticed right away that some of these paints, especially the blues and the greens, for some reason feel very tacky on the paper. I'm not sure why.
What do you mean when you say tacky?
What I mean by tacky is you freshly pour some of this onto your palette, then you dip your brush in it, you know, without adding water. Okay, this is unwatered down paint. And then when you put it on the paper, it feels almost as if you're painting with glue.
So sticky.
It's like very sticky and not very pleasant to work with, which has its disadvantages because I've noticed the blues and greens in particular are very tacky. I don't know how well the camera is picking this up at this angle, but gouache paint is not supposed to be reflective.
It's a bit, I can see it from here, it's a bit shiny at parts.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be shiny. It's supposed to be a matte finish, and it's not a matte finish with this at all. Not all the colors are doing this, only a few of them are doing this, is what I find very weird. So we're going to be doing a bit of time traveling here. you would have seen previously that the one painting here was finished, which is this one here. But this one here, which again is this paint, again it picks up a sheen which it should not be doing, and you'll notice that the Arteza one is completely matte. Now, the paper quality in this book is not so bad. It doesn't like washi tape. I've known that. I didn't even bother with washi tape on this one. All the attempts of using washi tape, be it on the smooth side or the rough side, it will always eat the paper. I don't know why.
Yeah, it starts ripping it off when you pull it off.
Yeah, it starts ripping. But yeah, this one here is done on the rough side, which I think is the nicer side to paint on. But this is okay as well, but like I said, you need to stay away from the washi tape in this particular art journal for some reason. Which brings me now on to this paper, which I've also noticed that washi tape is also not kind to it. So this painting here was again done with this, and again it's pretty reflective. Not all the colors, again, just some of them are pretty shiny. And this is the one that I did with the Arteza paints, and it's completely matte. It does not pick up any reflections. So winner is definitely the Arteza paints, in my opinion. I also didn't get that weird tackiness that I was getting with these paints, where it was like painting with glue in some instances, and I also feel that these don't mix well.
Well, if you are saying this, because this, compared to what I ended up with, is like its own total quality class, but I had the similar thoughts than you do. I always had issues mixing with these,
Yeah.
which becomes a real issue if you only have like a handful of those paints and you really can't pick and choose from anything. While those, you can also get a bigger set. You can really just like take the colors, take the paints that you need.
Yeah.
Eventually maybe add like a little bit more white or whatever you want to make it a bit lighter or darker, but that's it. You do not have to come up with a totally different color out of primaries or anything like that, and it makes, especially for beginners like me, working with it much easier.
Yes.
Plus, and I want to add this because you know I'm always the cash person here, they are relatively cheap. As we pointed out, they are like €1 per tube if you calculate it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely perfect.
I think so too. I mean, in the future, I definitely like a bigger set of these with even more colors.
If I had to criticize something of those, is that apparently you can't buy them individually. You always have to buy the whole set. So if certain paints run out of this set, we either have to buy a new one or we have to look for possibly more expensive alternatives to make up for them.
Unless it's different in the US, maybe. Maybe they can get it individually, I don't know.
I don't know. If you can get them individually, if you have seen them individually outside, please leave it in the comment section below and we'll add it afterwards as a comment maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else can we say? Aside of singing the praises of the product. Yes, you have to be a little careful with those if they dry out, because it can be a really challenge to get the caps off.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of criticism about these caps. We haven't had the problem yet, but these paints are still new, so they'll probably be fine for a while.
Yes, but if you are like me, I like to squeeze a bit harder at times, which can result in a little mess around the cap. And if you then just put it on and it dries, you are eventually in a very bad situation, because you could end up with a tube that you can't open anymore without damaging it, which is obviously not what you want. So please, if you have these, be careful in this regard. But other than that, I would say this is the clear winner over these ones.
Definitely, I definitely agree. So I also want to point out that I did a lot of mixing because I tried to limit myself to the same 12 colors as what was in the set. So pretty much a lot of mixing, and The colours are way more vibrant as well in the Arteza over this one here.
Which is something that you might want. You might want more muted ones, and if you find the Kreul ones, if you maybe tried them out yourself, if you find them nicer than the other ones, perfect choice. It's always up to the person that uses them. That's our opinion.
Yeah.
We like the Arteza ones better.
Yeah, I'm definitely one for Arteza, and I definitely recommend the paints if you can get them.
Nice. So, yeah, anything left to say?
No, not really, other than I really like the Arteza paints because it's not like painting with glue for some reason.
No, it's really satisfying. It's almost, if you ever painted with acrylic paints, it's almost like this, but people keep saying it's kind of like a mixture of watercolor and acrylics, which I could not really comprehend until I actually used them. It's something you really should try out yourself.
Yes.
There are tons of tutorials on YouTube also. I watched a few of these that helped me along. So yeah, we can only encourage you to get the set, try it out, and maybe tell us what you think.
Yes. So we'll see you again next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.